What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today's video is a clip from The Line. If you want to catch me on The Line, I'm on there once a month to host Skept Talk. The Line also has a number of other shows that you might be interested in. So after you watch this clip today, why don't you go on over there, subscribe, and be sure to catch the next show. All right, well, next we've got a theist, Wes, be calling in. What's up there, Wes? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Audio good.
All right, cool, good. Well, you know, I'm kind of new to listening to so many shows and things, so I apologize if I'm not, if I'm not real put together on some thoughts and things, but it seems to me, just by listening in on some of the things, some of the past shows and some of your own work, that a lot of your work seems to be against kind of a fundamentalist, like a modern fundamentalist idea of God that seems to have strayed quite a bit from Scripture itself. I'm a Christian. And
no, so are you talking? You're talking to me specifically, right?
Either one of you, I guess. I mean, I've seen a little bit of work on the Star of Bethlehem.
Okay. Well,
yeah, either one's fine.
I can't speak for Dr. Adair here, but I know for me, I have a wide range of different issues, ranging from, fundamentalism is what I cover, but I also cover evangelicals. So, I mean, I cover across the entire spectrum of Christianity and religiosity. So I feel like you're starting off by portraying me in a light that I just don't fit in.
Just to speak for myself, because yeah, and just to speak for myself, that I deal with the claims of everyone from Ken Ham to Paul Tillich. So as far as I can tell, I'm trying to engage with theologians from the most crass to the most sophisticated.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that a lot of the like apologists that you see online or that I've seen just recently here seem to be taking a very unbiblical stance towards God. They seem to so just to be a little clearer about that, they seem to be saying that they know for a fact that God exists, for example, right? I just saw like a tweet from Frank Turek the other day that said the resurrection is a historical fact. And that's just not right. That's not even biblically true. I mean, that the whole Bible is built around faith. And faith has nothing to do with certainty. It's like it's something that faith and hope are very clearly tied together. So it's something that we should, as Christians, hope that is true, and that we have like a kernel of faith that it's true. But this whole idea of, I can prove that God is real and I can prove the existence of God seems to be like a non-starter to begin with.
Okay. Do you believe that the Bible is like historically accurate, or I guess I'm getting kind of a weird vibe off of you as far as the Bible goes. So would you say that the Bible is historically accurate?
The Bible was written by men in concursus with God. So it's got all kinds of things in there that God allowed, and as he's working with men to create it wasn't created outside of men. There wasn't anything that was created in there that couldn't have been created without completely separate from God.
Okay. Well, how about instead of telling, is there any, tell us what you believe about the Bible, or you believe about the Christian God? What are some things that you believe about your God and your faith?
I believe that God cannot be proven. I believe that it's a possibility that God exists, and the historical reliability of the resurrection can't be proven. It's a possibility that exists, and it's something that we read about. We look at the entire history of the faith and as it's been passed down to us, and we make a decision as to whether we believe it or not. And we should make a decision based on hoping that it's real and having faith that it's real. But the whole apologetic of certainty and uncertainty,
Wes,
it doesn't make sense biblically. Yeah.
Wes, I can hope that unicorn shit rainbows and it tastes like Neapolitan ice cream. I don't understand like how that, like what difference does that make? Like me hoping for that to be true, that doesn't make it true. And it does. I guess I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Like, what are we supposed to do with this hope thing? Does hope clue us into what happened in reality? If the Bible supposedly records historical events and historical things that happened, you're saying that you hope that the resurrection happened. Don't you? Wouldn't you want to know like what is true about reality instead of just hoping for what's true about reality?
Yeah, I think that there's a difference between plausible, possible, and foolish, just completely implausible hope. You know, you can hope in things that are just absolutely can't be true, and you can hope in things that could possibly be true.
So is the resurrection of Jesus plausible?
100% plausible.
Okay.
How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, because I believe that God is 100% plausible, and that if God is 100% plausible, then resurrection is 100% plausible.
So this might lead to some circularity, but I also want to be a bit careful. When you say plausible, is that just a way of saying it's logically possible? When you say 100% plausible, are you saying 100% it's an actual fact? Because that would contradict what you said earlier. I just want to have clarity with your statements.
Right. Yeah, no, plausible, like really plausible. Like it's a possibility. It's a real possibility that it happened.
In that case, with possibility, or let's talk probability, is it more or less than 50%?
See, it is less than 50%. It's probably less than 10%. It probably is, but according to the Bible, we don't need that kind of certainty. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the apologists and the fundamentalists.
Well, there's a difference here, though, because if you say the probability of Jesus was resurrected at 10%, that means that's a 90% chance he wasn't. So to believe the thing that you're 90% likely to be wrong about would make your belief inherently irrational. And I think that's different than saying possible, where it's 50-50, where it's say, well, we can't know one way or the other, and then taking one view or the other is both equally acceptable. But saying I'm going to believe the thing that the evidence is against is often irrational.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I think that if you had a terminal disease and the doctor said there is this experimental treatment that's got a 5% chance of working, but it's really irrational to believe that it's going to work, but there's a 5% chance. I would take that 5% chance.
And I would too, because the other thing is, I don't think that's
irrational to take that.
Always
exactly.
But that's the thing about comparisons. When we're comparing 5% chance of working versus 0%, I always would take 5. But conversely, why would I take 5 instead of 95? In this case, if you're taking the 10% chance of the resurrection, you're basically saying you have also agreed that 90% your proposition is false. And this is very different from doing comparative advantage. This is saying this proposition is either true or false. And even though you say it's probably false, I'm going to say it's true anyways. That is irrational in terms of taking propositions.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. But what I'm saying is you have a 0% chance of surviving this terminal disease called death without the resurrection.
Not true, because we could always go with other religions. For example, in very different things, like say in Hinduism or Buddhism, there is this eternal cycle of reincarnation. So all I have to do is say, no, just the Christians are wrong, and I'll just go with this other religion. Or we go the super Elon Musk route that Neuralink is going to work and my brain is going to be uploaded to Skynet or what have you. Now, I'm being a little facetious there, but that is at least something more consistent with our scientific knowledge that we could survive the death of meat by putting our consciousness in some form of digital format. And at the very least, there is more evidence that that is going to happen in the near future than all of the dead saints will rise when the coming of the Lord from heaven, which, by the way, is apparently just up there above the flat earth if we go by the, way that biblical text expresses things. After all, Jesus hasn't even left this galaxy, even if he was going at light speed, according to the the things laid out that he was supposed to ascend up into the sky, and even if he was going max speed, he is still within the disk of the Milky Way, let alone has he anywhere near another galaxy.
Yeah.
So, Wes, are you proposing Pascal's wager here?
Yeah, that's I think it's probably, I think Pascal is kind of like it's missing something. It's probably related to that, but it's missing something. Pascal seems to be like, well, we have no idea, so I'm going to bet on this. And I'm saying would you call an experimental treatment Pascal's wager?
I mean, I don't think Pascal's wager applies to that. No, it's not comparable to Pascal's wager. And for instance, one of the weaknesses of Pascal's wager is, other religions existing, just like Aaron pointed out here. Like, you think that Yahweh is plausible to exist, right? Do you feel the same way about Allah?
I feel like yes, it's plausible. I feel like Yahweh is more plausible. Kind of like a doctor saying there are 10 different treatments available, and I'm going to pick the most plausible of the implausible.
Hold on. What makes Islam less plausible than Christianity?
I find the story of Muhammad less plausible than the story of the resurrection.
I will point out, though, you've already said that the resurrection story is probably false from your own numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
you
the story of Muhammad is more probably false.
It's worth noticing that, well, here's the thing, though. In Islam, they don't believe Jesus was resurrected from the dead. It's the common belief that Jesus was actually taken down from the cross and someone was crucified in his stead. So they have taken a position that is more probable than the resurrection one, again, based on your own numbers. So what you have actually said would actually make Islam more likely true, because Islam denies one of the central claims of the Christian religion.
Right. You'd have to take the entirety of Islam and the entirety of Christianity, not just the central claim of whether Jesus was taken off the cross and replaced or not.
Well, there's a lot that Islam agrees with Christianity on as well, including the virgin birth, all the stuff about the Old Testament patriarch narratives and Moses, and also all those things don't exactly line up with archaeology as well. It's not like you're going to hop over to Islam and things are 1% better or 1% worse. It's just like, hey, in all of these cases, there's a lot of baggage when it comes to factuality that is not favorable. And I don't think you're getting much purchase sticking with Christianity in this particular case. Again, based on your own estimates of probability. And my estimates of these probabilities would be dramatically lower because, first off, dead people tend to stay dead, and we have approximately 100 billion examples of that. So that's a bit of your prior information that you would have to work against. The vast majority of humans who have died have stayed dead. To say that there is this exception, you will need a lot of evidence even to get that to 10% likelihood. And I don't know if you're extracting that from the Gospels or some other derivation, but you'll have to tell us.
I'm extracting it from my best hope to survive death. That's what I'm extracting it from. I want the best possible hope to survive death. and Neuralink is not available yet. So, today,
it doesn't matter.
I'd like to survive it if I die tomorrow.
But listen, what can, like, you're saying you hope you can survive death, meaning that you hope that there is an afterlife. And I can understand why you would want to hope that, but I feel like it's more important to understand what we can know about reality. And what we know about reality is that when we die, that's it, as far as we can tell. So how do you know what's after this life? I mean, you hope for these various things, but you don't have anything to prove like why somebody should believe in these things.
Well, all of the reasons why people would say that all the things that you hear people talking about that are like proofs that God exists, they're not proofs that God exists, but they're plausible reasons why God exists. And, I know that y'all are mythicists, and so it's completely possible that the whole Jesus story was a myth, but all of the reasons why historians would say that he possibly did, those are possibilities. And I would like to be able to place some faith in things that are possible in order to try to survive this thing called death that we're facing pretty soon. The Bible says
I will note that historians don't just say Jesus possibly existed. You're going to find that most Jesus scholars will say he probably or very probably existed. They are not wishy-washy, just saying, it's possible. They are quite adamant, and all the more so considering there's approximately 200 plus years of attempts to reconstruct the historical Jesus in studies. And that is not 200 years of biblical scholars saying, we're not even sure there's a guy here. No, this is a whole lot of effort of trying to parse out the historical figure behind the stories. And I will also note that when it comes to what you hope for, your hope seems to be ultimately grounded in what you grew up in. To me, there are plenty of other hopes of afterlives we could have that are distinct from the Christian tradition. There could just be straight up universalism and that God, this is some sort of deistic being who wants all of us to come to his realm. Or it could be that we have these cycles of infinite return and the only way to escape it is realizing that this world is samsara and that we need to reach nirvana, as in the Buddhist tradition, for example. And those things aren't necessarily worse in my mind than the Christian imagination of what heaven is. And if all we're going by is what we imagine, well, all those possibilities just kind of cancel out, and all we're stuck with is saying, hey, we don't know, but the best we can tell, every person who's ever died has stayed dead, and all I can do is do the most I can with this life. The only thing I can confirm actually exists.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that if Buddhism is true, then being a good follower of Christ, according to the Dalai Lama, will get you into the next life. So I feel like I'm kind of covering my bases with that, and I think that
with Allah.
Right, that's true. That's absolutely true. I'm definitely taking a side against Allah. Muhammad had a 9-year-old bride that really irks me, and I start looking at this versus that. I'm going to take Jesus.
I'm sorry. You're acting. I'm sorry, but you're acting like. Muhammad was any better than the ancient Israelites that thought up your Yahweh.
Right.
Right. I mean, you have several places in the Bible. Hold on, I'm talking. You have several places in the Old Testament of the Bible that has that same kind of shit going on. And you even have them violently destroying people and taking young virgin girls so that they can marry them off. So you can't sit there like you're on some high fucking horse of Christianity when that high fucking horse of Christianity is built on sexual slavery and the imprisonment of women and the buying and bartering of women, even young children. So don't sit there and act like you're on some kind of high fucking horse with that kind of shit. You have the exact same. Hold on. I'm still talking. You have the exact same kind of evidence for your God, your Jesus, that Muslims do for, the things that Muhammad supposedly experienced. So, I mean, don't sit there like you're any different. Anyways, appreciate you calling in, Wes. This was thoroughly fucking confusing, and I hope that you'll call in for somebody else.
Okay, thanks, man. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
I hate it when people act like they are like their belief is so much different and better than this belief over here. It's like, oh, this belief was shitty. Your belief was shitty at one point too.
Yeah, and I was going to be a bit worried if we were going to go down the lineage of Jesus, which includes several prostitutes and rape victims. That's right in the genealogy of Matthew, including Bathsheba. So if we want to go down that route, we are not exactly looking at a pristine family history.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Heathen? Thank you so much for checking out this clip from The Line. If you enjoyed this clip today, you can get more of it by subscribing to The Line. So hit up those links in the description so you can catch me the next time I host Skep Talk. I don't know, was that 20 seconds? Here's some filler shit for, to fill out the 20 seconds. I don't know. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy.